All right, so today we're going to be installing a communications system in our 2022 Can-Am Maverick X3, rugged radios, intercom and radio. We're going to put them in a little bit different space. Rugged sells two different types of mounts. The first one goes down here, and we actually installed that in our four-seater just a little while ago. And they also have a top mount, which goes right up here in this space, about like that. And that puts the radio and intercom up here, leaves that spot down below for anything else you might want to do. So the first thing you're going to want to do is figure out where you're going to route the cables. The radios, radio and intercom are going to be up here. So you've got all the cables coming out in this direction. I took out the cigarette lighter already. You can fish all the wires through there and down and around that way. I think what I might do is just go ahead and drill a hole here, since this is all going to be covered, and fish the wires through that way instead of getting this whole area, kind of more messy with all kinds of wires and everything. I'm just going to go right through here. So I'm going to mount this plate here using those two top holes first. The installation kit comes with a whole bunch of stuff. Don't worry, you're not going to use all of these things, but we're going to use a couple of these Phillips screws and get this mount centered in the right place using those two holes first. So with those two screws in place, you're going to want to set up these side holes, but you can see this needs to be pushed down a little bit to put it in the right spot before you drill these holes, and then that'll fasten everything in place. You can see there I drilled a hole through the bottom. That's where I'll run my wires. Drilled the first hole in here and used the plastic push pin to hold that in place. So now we come over to the other side, drill that hole, and then the mounting of this will be done. So one thing to be careful with when you're drilling is making sure you don't go too far in here and get any of the wires or anything. You got total access up under here. Make sure you're not going to hit any wires or the switch or anything. And from this angle, this is a little tight. If you lift up the glove box, you can get in here a little bit better, and then get these push pins in place. And that's got a nice factory look to it. Not that I'm a huge push pin fan, but that looks pretty clean. One thing to think about when you're drilling a hole, if you do, or if you use the cigarette lighter hole, is you got to feed this through. So it is a fairly good size hole you've got to drill. But again, it's tucked in there where you can't really see, and it won't be a big deal. Once you've got that mount installed, it's time to run some of the wires. And to do that, I would recommend taking out the passenger seat and removing the two side panels here so you can easily run cables around. So remember that the power and ground need to go all the way to the battery. It's pretty tempting to just stop right here on a Can-Am because you've got power and ground right there. But instructions say to make sure you go all the way to the battery, so that's what I'm doing. So the best way to run your antenna coax wire is up along the roof here, down your A-pillar, down in through here, under that way, and into the back of the radio, trying to avoid as much electronics as possible. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can run it, but this is the recommended way from Rugged. It eliminates most all of the interference by coming this way. The one piece you do need to look at is the power steering motor. So tuck that away from that as far as you can. It helps if you have the side panel off or at least part way open in order to do that. All right, gonna run the headset wires next. One of the cool things Rugged did is there actually a label. That one there says driver headset. The lighting's not very good, but that's what it says, trust me. So even the headset portion of these wires are labeled. Driver, co-driver. Makes it super simple when you're fishing all these things through. It's easy to get mixed up. You can always tell which side goes to which. Next up, gonna run the push-to-talks. And again, these are labeled and also color coordinated. Blue is always driver, and it also says driver PTT. So you want to run that up in there. And then important thing on the push-to-talks is you want to put a loop in these as a stress relief so that the wires don't get yanked out. And that's kind of important on the steering wheel, especially because you're twisting it around and it can get yanked, and these can get pulled out. So you want to put a loop in there as a little stress relief. All right, we got the loop in there. Take off the stress from this piece here. This is the push-to-talk, and we're gonna route that up. We're just fishing all the wires up and through here. And this mount also includes their universal mount, which disconnects from the face and pulls out so you can service it. Super cool setup to allow you, room to deal with wires and taking things in and out, because we all know that happens, and it's awesome to make it serviceable. So I've mounted the radio and intercom into the removable faceplate, and what that allows you to do is you've got all the connections here, all the connections here. You can make all these connections and then push it into place. One last thing to not forget, it's in the package. It's easy to just forget it and not put it on there, but it does say mandatory on it. This is the programming cable, and you want to have this portion of it accessible in case it needs to be programmed if you're going to put in a different channel or something like that. And it plugs in right here on that port, and you want to do that before you have all this all tidied up. All right, one of the last things to do here is tuck this in place and then use the Allen heads to secure that. All right, we've got this all installed. One last thing we did add was a rocker switch to turn the comms on and off. And that is an awesome way to make sure you have everything turned off with one easy switch.